Hi.
Okay. I didn't.
You me?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know if the invite sent there. I clicked on nothing. Nothing happened.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, yeah. It's early 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny, funny thing is, like I don't normally go out. My wife and I, we have a 15-month at home,
Uh-huh.
and my brother just happened to be available to watch him last night. So after we put him to bed, we went out and played some pool for a little while, and he
Okay.
probably gone out only like twice, I think, since he's been born. So
Yeah.
funny that I had to get up really early, but I normally do anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the same. I have two boys. One is let me think, 8 years old, and the other one is 6 years old. So I know the feeling, like getting up between 6 and 7 usually.
Yeah. 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 I imagine you're able to sleep through the night now, though. Like we're still having some trouble with them sleeping.
Yeah. It took about 5 years for us. Yeah. But usually my wife gets up because I don't wake up, so it's easy for me.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
quite hard.
Yeah. That's right. Well, first of all, welcome back. Nice to see you back making some YouTube videos again.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
I, it's because you were taking a break because of the theater shows, right?
Yeah,
How did those go?
yeah, it was really great, but it was very busy. I was working on it, I think, 6 days a week, and as I said, I also have a family, so it was
Right.
very difficult to combine it because usually takes me like 3 days to make a video with preparing and rehearsing and stuff. So it was not doable. So I made a decision early January to just take a break for 2 months to really focus on the project. And yeah, it turns out great. The performance is really nice. Yeah, I'm I'm really happy with the result. But it was hard taking a break because I was working so hard for the entire year last year. And to take a break, it feels like, am I gonna lose all the audience?
Right.
I've worked so hard to get where I am now. Am I gonna lose that? So it was difficult, but yeah, I couldn't combine it. It wasn't possible.
Yeah. Makes sense. Did
Mhm.
now that you're back though, like, do you notice any difference? Like any drop off in subscribers while you were gone, or?
Oh, not really. I gained, I think, 1,500 subscribers,
Very
something like that,
clear.
when I wasn't uploading anything. So that was good. I think that's because my videos are. I kind of see my YouTube channel as a kind of a library of all like songs, Red Chili Pepper songs. So you can learn how to play the song on bass, on guitar. So I think a lot of people are searching on a specific song and they find my channel that way. So it's not like, oh, this is the latest video, the entertainment this week. It's not like that.
Yeah.
More like, yeah, you can watch the videos in 5 years and learn something. That's the idea.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. That's how I feel about, like, I had Nikola Grugoski on the channel for the first one, and
Yeah.
like I'm still like always going through his videos, sometimes bookmarking them or adding them to playlists. Like, these are some songs I want to learn, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why I uploaded like a whole library of backing tracks too, just to sort of like have this foundation on my channel. Like, hey, if you like Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff, like, you're gonna be interested in these. You might also like the other stuff that I'm doing too. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's the same thing. It's kind of a library online that people can go to even in 5 years or 10 years, maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to not get in that mindset though. Like, I always need to be posting something, or that's kind of how I felt on Instagram for a long time. Just started doing it for the pedal business. I wasn't on Instagram before that. Maybe sometime years ago when it first started, but for a long time I didn't really use social media, and I felt that pressure to, oh, like it's been a couple weeks, I should post something. I didn't really have like a plan or a schedule, and I'm trying to get better with that. But it's still a challenge because, like you said, it takes you 3 days to make a video. That's what I was finding for a YouTube video too. 3 days almost work for a 5-minute video maybe, and then you gotta. I'm trying to create some social media content around that too, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of hard. I was posting on Instagram like every day for, I think maybe a year, and then I kind of stopped doing that as well. And I just post something when I have something to show or something to share. Like what I share on Instagram right now are like my settings, like pedal settings, because people are asking like, great sounds,
Right.
Set your DS2, for instance. And I don't want to. In the beginning, I made videos like about the settings, about all the gear, but that was like twice as much. The work was like twice as much, and in the beginning I worked full time on the channel. So when I started a year ago, it was 3, 5, 6 days a week, and it was because of COVID. I didn't have any work, so I had this time off, and that was great. But then my work started again, and I was like, I can't combine this. This is too much. So, yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more practical. So, like for the settings, I put it in the description of the video. Like I type everything, like the amp setting, like the treble is on 7, the bass is on 10, like that. And then I post a picture on Instagram with the pedal settings, and then I post a link to the Instagram picture in the description of the video, so you can find it even in a few years. You can find the
So that's smart. I mean,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, like amp and pedal settings? I was talking to Justin about this a little bit because I see these posts online where people are saying like, oh, these are the amp settings for this person, and it doesn't even show an amp or anything. And there's so many things to consider in terms of your signal chain and your guitar, the pickup height.
Definitely. To me, it doesn't make sense. If you like, say like, John Frusciante sound is bass like this, middle, you have to have the same amp because every amp sounds different and responds different. So to say the treble needs to be on 3 and the bass needs to be on 10 doesn't really make sense. I post the settings just because if someone has a Silver Jubilee, they can recreate everything, and also as a reminder for myself. So within like a year, I'm like, that video, I had a great sound. How did the amp settings and stuff like that? But to me, it doesn't make sense. Like even the pedal settings, I'm not copying like these are John's settings and I'll go with that. I always use my ear. For years, there was this thing online that the DS2 settings were like everything maxed out. And I never did that because it sounded terrible to me.
Yeah.
It sounded terrible with my settings, my amps, and I couldn't play like that. It was like feedback galore.
Yeah.
So it was too loud, too much gain. And I always thought, if I go back to like 1999, that tour, Californication tour, when they played songs like Suck My Kiss, it's like a very rhythmic part with the DS2, and there are lots of like little breaks in it. And if you like max everything out, you play that, it's impossible because you have so much feedback going on.
Yeah.
So I'm always convinced that John didn't max out his settings in that period, and during the Californication days. I know he did. I think it was by the way Stadium Arcadium that I've seen pictures with the settings maxed out. I think for solos and maybe stuff like what's it, Danny California, the chorus part. I think that maybe maxed out, but for the older songs, I don't think so. And even if you look at the settings right now, it's not maxed out anymore. He has 2 PS2s that are quite almost in the center.
Yeah. there's a few things I agree with you there. Like first off, I never could get the DS2 to work with the max settings. Like it would give too much of a volume boost. Like I could max the tone and the distortion knob, but I was always like turning the level back to. I find the main Japan one has a bit more output, so I could even turn that one lower. Like not even to 12 o'clock most of the time. I find it's about. I use the peak level LED of the CE1 to sort of match. Like that's one thing I want to do a little video about is I'll sort of dig in with my clean tone and like see how bright it gets, like when I'm playing as hard as I can with my guitar volume on 10, and then I'll kick on a distortion and make it so like the level doesn't get, the LED doesn't get dimmer. Like if it either gets the same amount of brightness or maybe a little brighter anytime I'm like adding something new. So that's kind of what I use to set levels. But I agree that also Danny California is maybe the only part I could see it working for, like the chorus, to have it all maxed. And I also agree with the thing you said about I suck my kids. Like I'm not even convinced that's a DS2 tone. Like that seems too saturated to me. He's almost got like a maybe some other kind of distortion. Like obviously he's done different things in the studio, but that sounds more like I don't know, almost like an overdrive sound.
I don't know about the studio version. I don't know about that, but live he definitely used the DS2.
Right.
Even back in the Californication days, he only had like 5 pedals.
Yeah.
Like that, he had the DS2 and the, which one was it? The first. I have it right here. This one. So
yeah.
Those were his 2 like drive pedals back in the day, and he used the fuzz just for extra gain during a solo. But it's a strange tone. So the Suck My Kiss tone is kind of strange because he uses the C1, the vibrato setting as well. So there's this warble going on. He used it a lot with this DS2 sounds, the combination of vibrato and or chorus. Even in the intro of Mellow Shit, that as well, and Suck My Kiss, Be My Friends, he used a vibrato setting, so it's a kind of weird tone.
Yeah, that's another one that you made me think of when you were talking about, you know, sort of the rhythmicness of the riff and not wanting that feedback. Whenever I play Mellow Ship, that's actually when I use the noise gate. So I can, you know, hit the note and then have that space in between, because otherwise you're getting that shh, you know, and you don't want to be too distorted with the chorus pedal either. You probably had you had the CE1. Do you notice that if you turn the level up too high and use distortion, that the wet channel breaks up in a weird way, like crackles almost if it's too hot?
Which channel?
On the wet channel on the CE1, like the delay channel.
What is the white channel?
No, the wet channel, like the one that's affected.
It's so you have the first one. So these are different. You mean?
I just mean like the one, because when you go stereo mode, the mono channel is just your dry signal, and then the stereo channel is the one that gets delayed.
Yeah, it's saturated in a not so nice way.
And then like if you have the level knob up too high, I find it almost like, especially if I'm using distortion and then kick on the wah or something, it gets like a lot of gain. It like crackles, like it like totally breaks. Yeah. So I used to run the level knob at like 12, maybe 1, 2 o'clock on the high mode, and then I was like, I noticed that John had it turned back to like, you know, I guess 10 o'clock ish, and that's kind of where I've been running it lately.
You're right. Back in the day, it was like more like 12-1 during the Californication days. You can hear it in his tone as well. His tone is very aggressive. If you listen to songs like If You Have to Ask, it's almost like he has a drive on, but it's just a C1 preamp. I think it's most saturated in those days.
Yeah.
I think he had it 12 or 1, something like that back then. But then he backed it down, and even during the, I think, by the way, Stadium Arcadium days, he put the input on the low setting. So his level was like more on, I don't remember, 2 or 3, something like that. And the input was on low. But I think that was because he had so many pedals with all the buffers and stuff, I think. And the FM4 as well, the purple one, it has a lot of like volume peaks. And if you put it on high mode, it can create that crackling sound that you were talking about. So I think that's the reason why he put it on low on those days. But it's back on high now. Oh, I think high sounds way better.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I like it.
Presence, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But I someone mentioned to me that he may have been using it on low during the stadium tour because of all the Moogerfoogers or Mogerfoogers, and they all have their own level knob too.
Yeah.
So that just goes back to what we're saying about signal chain and this and that. Like settings are, I think what you said, use your ear. Like that's the best option.
Yeah.
And at least you posting your settings, you're typically using the same amps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just swapping out pedals kind of from song to song.
Yeah.
So at least in the context of that, people can say, oh, for this one, he's doing this, and there's sort of a baseline. So
yeah, I switched up my amp. I have I don't know if you can see it. So I have this Jubilee, and then I have the Major.
Yeah,
this is a Marco Major. I just bought it a few months ago, I think in December. Before that, I used the Super Lead.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Major is a new addition for me. I was very pleased with the sound of the Super Lead, but yeah, one popped up online, and yeah, it was like 45 minutes.
Oh wow!
I was like, I just have to, and it was quite okay. The price was like I think 1,700 euros, something like that, for a Major. That's not demo. So
no, that's really good. I sort of roughly have to convert it to Canadian dollars.
Yeah,
but
I know how much.
Yeah. Wow. Do you notice a big difference?
Yeah, I thought it was broken at first because I was like, oh, the Super Lead is so loud, it's insane. When you put it on one, it's insane. And then I was like, oh my God, the Major is 200 watts. It's got to be way loud. It's got to be crazy. And then I put it on 2, 3, and it was all okay. And I was like, it's not as loud as the Super Lead. And then I brought it to a guy that fixes all my stuff, my amp repairman. And he explained to me that the Super Lead has this kind of circuit that when you put it on one, like the treble side of the amp is all open. So it's immediately on 10, the treble side.
Okay.
So if you push the volume, you just get more bass. So that was the idea back in the day, that this amp was like, whoa, it's so loud, it's amazing for the rock guitar players. And then on one, it's like this.
Right.
Major doesn't have that, so it's more equal. Like you have to actually put it on 8 or 9 to get the same volume as the Super Lead on 2.
Okay.
That was kind of weird, but it's nice because it's easier to control the settings. Because the Super Lead, you just have to wiggle the knob, and then it's like on one, and it's so loud.
Okay.
Did it test you once with a dB meter, and it was like 120 dBs, just the 2 by 2 amps. It's so loud. I need the in-ears just to lower the volume, because otherwise I would become deaf with the ear.
So where are you recording? Like, is that how loud you're playing when you record the videos?
Mm-hmm.
And where is this? Like in your home?
This is in my home. This is in my attic.
Oh.
So this is where studio is. I don't know if I can show a little tour.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of synthesizers and Rhodes and stuff like. I use that for my theater stuff. And then I have, let's see, what do we have? There's my computer, so I can see the screen there. Yeah.
Wow.
Camera. So
Cool.
it's quite small, and the ceiling is like this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was asking about the volume though, because like, are you close to neighbors?
No.
No. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I record in the morning. That's kind of weird too. It's so it's super loud, super heavy, and I'm recording at 9:30 or 10 in the morning.
Okay.
That's usually when I record my videos, because the kids are at
Right.
school, and I have to pick them up around 3 o'clock. So yeah, I have to be done by 3. So I record in the morning.
Yeah. Cool. I saw the pedal board picture, or like the gear that you posted from the theater show. So what kind of stuff were you doing for that? You're playing like different instruments for different parts?
Yeah, I played the guitar and I played bass. So I switch around. I think the first 2 or 3 pieces are on guitar, then I do 3 pieces on bass, and the rest of the set is on guitar. And there's this other guy, a friend of mine, he plays bass and keyboards. So when I play guitar, he plays bass. Yeah, I play bass, he plays guitar. Or he plays keyboards. And it's really nice. And this is the first time, because I make music for theater stuff, I think, for 11 years now, something like that. That's where I make a living. This is the first time that I really play live.
Okay.
So usually I record it in my studio, and I give them like an Ableton Live session, and they go on tour with a computer and just play my music. This is the first time that I join them and go on tour with them and do gigs. So that's really nice. And it's also the first time that there are really some Red Chili Peppers influences there in the music. And I play some slap bass, and so it's really fun for me, because I started playing in the 90s, and then like the popping, the slapping thing was really like the macho thing to do, and it was like kind of uncool in a way. So I like doing that, but I never did it in my own music. I steered away from everything like funky or slap bass, because I did, especially back in those days, it was like, you're a real like a Flea wannabe, and
Okay.
I just want to be my own musician, my own. So I really steered away from that style. So my own music doesn't sound anything like that. And now for the new performance, I just use some influences. I was like, I don't care.
No, that's good, man. That's it. I like that you threw in some of the gear that they use too. Like in your post, you said, "Can you spot the chili pepper stuff?" Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about. Well, I think you started to answer a couple of my questions. So when did you first?
So
we'll start with that one.
So I was born in 1980. So when Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out, I was 11 years old. And they were really huge in Holland. They had a big hit with Give It Away and with Under the Bridge. So they were on the radio and MTV a lot. So I was like pushing my parents to buy the CD. And my mother only liked Breaking the Girl, Could Have Lied, and Under the Bridge. She skipped all the other songs. But I just took the CD to my room and listened to it all the time. So that was my first record from them. Did you have any responses from the Instagram? He's here counting.
Yeah.
But you can get this
answer. Oh.
Yeah. Did you have any responses?
Yeah, I was actually thinking. So I haven't had a lot of thought into how I'm going to structure this. Kind of along what we were just talking about before we got started. I was thinking that this already feels more like the intention that I had for having like an open kind of conversation feel to this,
Yeah.
which, you know, I think was harder to do in the live scenario, just based on my ability to hear you and just that pressure. And like the reason I wanted to do it live was to sort of like open it up to the listeners a bit, but I felt like I ended up probably just not alienating, but like you end up having to ignore a lot of the comments because it doesn't necessarily fit with where you are in the conversation. So it's also hard to acknowledge people. So
That's true.
I found that I just ended up talking to you and ignoring what everyone was saying in the chat. And then, you know,
I think a lot of podcasts have a person that checks the chat like all the time, and if there's a question that's interesting at the moment, then they jump in and they're like, "Oh, there's a question from the chat."
Yeah. So
but
we need to get a producer for this.
Yeah, but it's really difficult when you're having a conversation and then keep reading the chat. It's just you get out of the conversation, so that isn't ideal, I guess.
Yeah, no, not at all. But throwing it up in the story, I got lots of responses actually, and I was thinking
really?
maybe that was just a good way to start, was to work through them, because it's nice to hear what other people have to say, and I figure I could just like throw in. I put down a couple notes. Like that was the other thing too, with doing it live and having no time to talk about like what you're going to do beforehand a little bit. It's just like wherever the conversation goes, I kind of followed it. And the first few conversations I had made notes and written down some things that I wanted to talk about. And I'm not sure if it had any order, but could have worked through it. And I just ended up like not even looking at that sheet because it was too hard to
steer the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you never know, like how, depending on how you respond to a question, I may pick up on something and want to ask about that, or something that I want to ask might get answered when they're talking about something else, or it might spark this other thing to come up. But I figured we'd start with these questions and then we'll see,
sure.
You know, where it goes. And so we got ultimate_epic_pro asking if you got your professional studio equipment for covers, or if there was any other reason.
No. I started the YouTube channel, I think, a little over a year ago, maybe in January last year. And I have this studio, I don't know, for 10 years. And still a lot of equipment that I have here, I've owned for 20 years, 25 years. So I'm doing all kinds of projects and music. I write my own music. I write music for theater pieces. So a lot of equipment was already here. So the only thing I had to change was like put some cameras up, put some lights up. That's the only thing.
Right. Did you get that neon asterisk just for the?
Yeah. I had it
for
made.
The channel.
Because of unlimited love, and that was kind of the obvious thing to do. And it turns out to be really nice because you have the asterisks and all the thumbnails. So it's even if you don't write like Red Hot Chili Peppers and on the thumbnail, everybody knows it by seeing that logo. Like, okay, this is something.
Yeah, you don't have to edit it at all, or like create some.
No,
you've got John's amps too. Like you don't need to put.
It's quite obvious when you see the image, even without a title or what it's about, that it's a Chili Peppers related video, for sure. Yeah.
It's good. It's recognizable, and like you're pretty much just using the same shot for your whole video too, other than like your intro and outro parts. For the most part, the playing ones. Yeah,
it's always one shot, but I was thinking about it when I started, But for me, the most important thing about my videos is that people can see what I play all the time.
Yeah.
So that means if I change up the angle, then you maybe miss a certain chord or lick. And that was the most important thing to me, that you can see the guitar parts and the bass parts all the time for the entire song. That's also why I do like one take. It's not like cut and paste like the first chorus is from take one, and I just do them over and over again until I got a take that I'm happy with. And usually that's, well, I think about 3 takes, 2-3 takes maybe, for the bass and for the guitar as well.
It's pretty
and
good.
Oftentimes I rehearse like a day before, so I know the parts and I know. But a lot of times it's a technical thing why I start again, or just I don't remember a certain lick at the moment, like in the moment, and then sometimes I'm doing a great take. The first take, it's great, everything is like and then I'm at the end of the song and I'm like in my head like, oh, I can't screw up now because this take was perfect. And then
especially
obviously
if it's
I screw up.
Like the worst song for that would probably be Wet Sand. I think this big explosive solo at the end of a 5.5 minute song. Have you done that one yet?
No, I have a million requests for that song. And I was actually rehearsing it last week. And just figured out the guitar parts and the solo.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna do it pretty soon. But there are a few songs that I want to do first. Because there's always something that triggers like an idea for a video. For instance, I just bought this new bass, a Music Man.
I saw that.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like my dream bass ever since I started playing, and I never bought it. It's so funny. Like I think in 2000, something around there, I had some money and I bought a Modulus 4-string. No, 5-string was it? Yeah, it was a 5-string. But I should have bought the Music Man back then because that was the sound I was after. But I don't know why. I just never did. And now for the channel, it was like, this is the perfect time to buy my dream bass. So I just bought this bass. So then I'm thinking like, okay, what song would work really great with this Music Man bass? So I'm working on some stuff from Mother's Milk and Blood Sugar, that period. So
that's
for instance, if I'm gonna play Wet Sand, sorry.
I was just gonna say that's around when he was using it, and it also got me thinking like you seem like you have a good understanding of Flea's gear. Too, which I, can't say that I do, and I'm not sure. For me, I'm so caught up in just John's world that I don't even consider like the bass stuff as obviously you have to because you're doing both parts. Do you think that you have more of an understanding of John's effects in guitars or Flea's, or is it equal?
It's equal. Yeah. I know what both of them used during their different like eras or periods, or how do you call it? But it kind of changed. It's so funny because like in the beginning of the band, the first 10-15 years, it was all about Flea, and the guitar was almost supporting, and it was really Flea was the man. He's playing all this flashy bass parts, and he was so innovating. And now it changed because John is such a great guitar player, so I think that overshadows Flea's like part a bit, I think.
What do you think about what John said then on, was it the 60 Minutes interview where he said like the guitar is the supporting instrument? In his mind, he's supporting the bass.
I can hear that, especially in the new 2 records. I can really hear that he's thinking like that. If you hear a song like, what's the title? Aquatic Mouth Dance. The guitar part is so simple, just almost one note. It's really just there to support what Flea does. And I think he did that same thing in the past as well, but maybe just a little more adventurous and a little more interesting maybe. I think
I think it depends on the album.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
this is a bit too far in the like supporting role. I'd
Okay.
like to hear
Yeah.
a little more Frusciante, like melody style in some of the songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's a bit too basic,
What about just from like
melodically.
the philosophy though of like performing the parts? This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately in terms of my own playing, and I wanted to ask you about. So there's a few things. One, like when you're playing the guitar and the bass parts together for these videos, which, well, first, which one do you record first? Or is it, do you always record the bass and the
Usually the
guitar?
bass. Yeah, usually the bass part. So I have the original drum tracks in my in-ears and a kick
Okay,
track, and the vocals. So I know where I'm at in the song,
right.
what part I'm at.
Okay, so I think that kind of ties into what I'm thinking. You're like, I get it makes sense that like typically when you record a song, a band's going to record drums first if they're not recording it all together. Drums, bass, then
Yeah.
probably guitars, vocals at the end.
Yeah.
Sure, there's some other things in there, but it's very important for the bass to lock in with the drums, right? So you're probably, when you're recording the bass parts, focus on like, how can I tuck this? Like, how can I get in the pocket? Right?
Definitely, yeah.
So, and then you're listening to the bass and the drums when you do the guitar part?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about like, what are your opinions? I guess this is leaning some more towards the guitar parts and the guitar playing, but a lot of people are, and a lot of your channel is around the gear that you use. But how important do you think like, good timing, good intonation is for tone compared to the gear?
It's very, very important. I think people overlook that, and I used to as well, maybe when I was younger, because it's so the idea of getting this great pedal and sounding like a hero is so appealing. Like, okay, I pay $200 and then I have this sound, but I just know that the thing is, when you got the greatest gear in the world, but you're not really playing fantastic, it's gonna sound terrible. Always, it doesn't matter what gear you have. And if you just play this Squire into a small amp and just what is it, a Boss Katana or something like that, you can play really funky. It's gonna sound great as well. I'm pretty sure if I record my stuff on like cheap equipment, it's still gonna sound fine. So that's really important.
Well, I think you have the ability to sound good. You might not, like, it's definitely a combination of both if you're trying to emulate a very particular sound. Like, if you wanted to get John's tone, you might be better off with some of the gear that he used as opposed to an amp or no pedals.
Yeah, that's true. Just to be there, like to get there 100%, you need all the little. It's so funny. I just did the Can't Stop video, and it's I noticed it was all these small steps, because I used I just did a video where I showed the gear and showed what everything sounds like without the pedals.
Yeah,
and that's so great about your pedal, that you can turn the preamp off. The CE1's preamp, because normally in the original CE1 you can't turn that off. You just have to remove the pedal from the chain if you want to hear it without. So this is great to compare the sound, what the guitar sounds like direct to the amp, and then turn the preamp on, what that does. And it's all these small steps. For instance, for Can't Stop, you have the preamp. Oh yeah. You have the preamp and then the micro amp, and then when you, all those small steps together, then it's it's suddenly there, the sound. And
I liked how you broke it down like that. That was very similar to what I did in the last video, I think, that I uploaded, where I demonstrated what the signal sounds like without the preamp, with the preamp. The next idea I'm working on is like how I incorporate the micro amp and the WH10 and the Dynacomp into the signal chain, and basically my approach to getting different variations of his tone, or like his clean tone. And yeah, like it's cool to see what like compare those things, see what it sounds like when you add the micro amp. I was wondering, since like you only use those three pedals, I guess the Empyrean, the Big Muff, and the
No, I
Electric
didn't use the
Mistress.
Big Muff.
Oh,
I
for
used the Holy Grail reverb. And
I
then
use the Big Muff for
Empyrean
the solo, right? For micro, for Can't Stop.
Yeah, but it was your Big Muff.
Yeah. I just mean like in terms of the signal chain, though, there was like those
so
are the
it
three
was,
pedals.
Yeah,
The
like the Electric
Empyrean
Mistress for
and
the
Electric
bridge,
Mistress.
and then the Holy Grail, the reverb, and then the CE1's preamp, the micro amp, and then the Big Muff for the solo. That's it, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that would be true bypass. I was just wondering if did you insert a buffered pedal into the chain
Yeah,
when you
that's
played
true.
it?
Yeah. It was so funny. I just put a tuner pedal in the
Okay.
front end because
Like a Boss tuner.
because I
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
realize that the Electric Mistress was true bypass as well. So when I
Yeah,
first
yeah.
did my explanation video thing, I was like, okay, this is what it sounds like with the CE1 preamp turned off. Then I
Right.
had the sound, it was okay. And then this is what it sounds like with the CE1 preamp turned on. And I turned it on and it was so weak sounding and there was no high end
Yeah. It's very
because I
dark.
didn't have a
Like,
buffer.
yeah. It's crazy.
So I had to
like
stop
how
the
much of a
video
different. Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was wondering that because I didn't like it just in my head. I was like, oh, there's no buffer. I wondered because it didn't sound like like if I had done that same sort of comparison and not had the buffer, you'd hear it like the tone
Definitely,
just
it
be like
sounds
dark, lifeless.
terrible. Maybe I had to talk about that. I forgot about that because my tuner was a bit like maybe 50 centimeters off the rest of the pedals.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was at the end of a huge pedal train, so I wasn't thinking about that. But it does make a huge difference. When I just bought the original CE1, I was so excited, and then I tested it, and I didn't think about it, so I just plugged the Stratocaster into the CE1 and then into the amp, and I was like, oh no, this sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It didn't even dawn to me that I had to put a buffer pedal before that. So I was really happy when I just put a signal chain together with the DS2 and then came to life. And
Yeah, when I did that same sort of comparison, I was surprised to see that the WH10 buffer sounded quite a bit different, or didn't have as much output as like say the Boss one and the DS2. But yeah,
that's why I usually put those pedal in the signal chain even when I'm not using the Boss DS2 just for the buffers.
Yeah. I found that that's the only real difference. It doesn't matter how many other pedals I have in the chain, or if I have multiple buffers. But for my own personal pedal board, I simplified things by using a loop switcher that has a built-in buffer. And so I basically have just like my dry tone being, I go through a Dynacomp, which is true bypass, and then into the loop switcher, which has the buffer, and then out to the CE1. And then there's 4 loops I can insert other effects into the chain. But when I'm just going like clean tone, it's pretty much just like straight through the CE1 with a built-in buffer. But yeah, it makes me think, I've thought about it multiple times whether or not I should put a buffer in the Empyrean just so you wouldn't have to do it with a Boss pedal. But
yeah, because
I feel like everybody has a Boss pedal somewhere, so just
that's true. But I've been thinking about that because I've been playing with the Empyrean for a while, and for me it's I'm seeing it like if I was to play live, if I would play in a Chili Peppers tribute band, I would definitely use like a pedal like that and a WH10 clone from any brand. I wouldn't use all the vintage gear per se. If I was playing in bars and clubs, and I would leave that stuff at home probably. But then I was thinking like, yeah, you need another pedal. You can't just show up with the Empyrean and then use only that.
I guess
for
I
instance.
like my defense for that is I designed it so like in mind that you already have a DS2 and you're probably going to get the wah. So I figured those are kind
That's
of
true.
like the two pedals people are going to get the most or get first.
Those are the staples. Yeah, everybody's gonna use the DS2 when they play songs like that. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually answered a couple of the questions people had, I think, or at
Okay.
least like somewhat. I need to scroll through them now. One was if you preferred clone pedals or the original ones and why, which I think you
Okay,
touched on a little bit there in a sense.
Yeah, kind of depends. I think it's a difficult question because it really depends on the situation. When I'm at home and I have all the time in the world and like ideal stuff, then I prefer to use like the original pedals. But for sure, when I would play live, I would take the clones with me. Just because they're more reliable. They're built like tanks usually. Yeah, and it's just easier and it sounds great. I mean, I think that was so funny about the Can't Stop video. Like I had so many people who were like, "Oh, it sounds so great, sounds identical to the original, blah blah," and I didn't, say that it was the Empyrean yet. It was for the week after that. It was this like reveal.
Oh, okay, I didn't
video.
even notice that because I only saw it, I think, when you had like mentioned it to me.
No, I didn't really mention it in the original video.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted like people to have like an honest opinion, like does it sound great or not?
Because you're usually using the CE1, right?
Yeah, and I have all the original pedals to like replicate. Can't Stop. I have a big muff. I have a micro amp, all that stuff. But yeah, it sounded great to me. It wasn't
awesome.
like, this is 10% less or
right.
Because if that was the case, I wouldn't do it for a video because my covers are gonna be up there for forever, I guess.
Yeah.
So I want
That's
to
really
be
cool.
like the best.
I'm glad that you took the time to get to know it because I think I sent you the pedals in February. Like it was before I went to Japan.
I think so. Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was because you were just finishing up with your show, right, in February. It was before you.
Yeah, true.
And then we talked in March the first time. Yeah, that was good because like it was exciting for me to hear what you had to think about them, honestly, because you have all the original gear and like for most of the stuff that's in the Empyrean, except for I don't have an original fuzz right, but I have all the stuff to compare it to too. The C1, microamp, everything. And I definitely did lots of, one on like switching back and forth between them with a loop switcher kind of thing. With the C1 especially. And like to me, they sound pretty much the same. Like I designed this stuff because I wanted to use it for a lot of the reasons like you said. It's just nice to have it on a pedal to feel like I don't play live shows or anything, but if I did, it's always nicer to have a smaller pedal board. Even though I can do that, like I'm the one making it, so like even if I don't want to be biased, like there is an inherent bias that I'm gonna think it's okay or it's good. So it was exciting for me to hear it from you, especially because you have the original stuff. And you're so
it's also
into...
different when it's different when you play through amps like these, like 100 watt, 200 watt Marshalls. It's gonna sound different than when you play on a smaller amp or like a VST. So that's a big thing as well. I noticed that when I like use the small amp just to check something, it's way different than with like all the volume and stuff can sound really different and instantly. because of the big amps and the huge volume. I don't know, everything has to work together as well, all the different pedals.
Yeah. And
But
using the Empyrean, did you notice anything like funky or different than when you were using, like, say if you would have done Can't Stop with the Big Mouth, the micro amp, and the CE1?
No, for me it was basically the same. Yeah, I didn't really dive into the Fuzzrite yet. I don't own an original Fuzzrite. I own some clones. I think about 3 of them.
Yeah,
something like that. But it's also, I think that one is a bit difficult for me because John didn't really use a Fuzzrite on any of the records. I think he owned it after like Stadium Arcadium was already recorded, so he used it live quite a bit. So for me, there isn't like a definitive like song or part like that's the Fuzzrite sound.
Yeah, it's hard for me to know if there's a definitive like Fuzzrite sound. I feel like it's a really simple circuit. There was both germanium and silicon ones. I don't know. People seem to think John used the germanium one. Like, is that documented anywhere? I have lots of questions about the Fuzzrite, just in general. Like, so I don't know. With that one, it's just something that I made it. It sounded good to me. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, nasally, like that In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida song that it's famous for being used on. And
I didn't know that song.
Iron Butterfly.
I have to check it. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll send you the link after.
Okay. Great.
There's different information floating around about what's in the circuit and like the pot values and stuff like that. So I actually, in the very first Empyreans, made it slightly differently, and just on like the last half or so, I made a few small changes. Which I think it seems like it's closer to the original germanium version, but who's to say? I haven't seen. Well, I guess I've seen some pictures, but
for me, it's difficult because what I said before, I don't really have that sound in my head. Like that's what it's supposed to sound like. I don't know. You have the famous intro. What is it? La Cigale in France.
Yeah.
That they say that
seems to be what it's most associated with.
Yeah, but it's in combination with, I think, the DS2 or maybe
there's got to be something there,
I don't
because if you just have the Fuzzrite itself, it's pretty like thin.
And, it's thin and aggressive, and for me it's difficult because I play very loud in here, and that pedal, if you turn on only the Fuzzrite, it's blood out of your ears. It's terrible.
Right.
It's so loud and so aggressive and so like So that's not a sound I go to very often. I checked the Fuzz Factory because I own an original Fuzz Factory, and that was pretty close. I tried to my English. I tried to do the intro, the Slane intro. That's Fuzz Factory, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds definitely has that sound. So that
one's another. I mean, I know for certain the circuit on that one because I have the original one, but it comes down to like the transistor choices, which I'm not super picky. I use what sort of sounds good to me and what doesn't do anything weird when I put them in the circuit. That's why I use sockets. I just kind of like test different pairs and It's an interesting one though. That's the one I feel like I get the most questions about. Which
Fuzz Factory.
Yeah, like about people, because I think a lot of people don't. I thought it was like pretty common pedal among, I guess, people that are into pedals, but I need to remember that
I would say so, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people though are maybe just getting into pedals for the first time, and like I get those kind of questions, and maybe the Empyrean, like I've had people tell me the Empyrean was the first pedal they bought, which I think is crazy.
but that's
It's
super
funny.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you don't know what the fuzz factory is and you turn it on and it's just like squealing and you
Yeah,
the Empyrean's
self-oscillating like
already
crazy.
the Empyrean's already like kind of confusing, so it's hard to tell which 5 controls even go to it unless you're
Yeah,
I don't know,
I think
certain.
the most confusing part, I'm gonna grab it, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
Silent. I think what's confusing for me in the beginning, it took a while before I understood that like the volume didn't have like lettering underneath it,
Right.
if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, so they
every
all have
volume is...
they all have the circles, the little dots, like the C1 level.
I didn't notice.
That was just to save adding extra
Okay.
typeface. So
So the dots, those are actually volume.
yeah.
I didn't even notice. Yeah, and I think it's, for a lot of people, it's difficult to like what's like, this is all Fuzz Factory, if I'm correct. No, these 4, right?
The most rightmost ones.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of confusing, like which knobs go with which effect.
Yeah, I agree, but the reason I chose that placement was just for like the symmetry of the design.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked how everything sort of formed like little triangles almost, and just to kind of keep it a bit balanced.
It's true. It looks great. And what I think is, you just set the knobs a certain way, and then, at least I do, I never touch them again. It's like, this is the sound, like for instance, the Big Muff, like these are the settings that I like. And it's just, I noodle with them. I don't change them like between songs or anything.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that. So
maybe some minor adjustments here and there, but mostly set and forget it for those. I would say the only one I would ever tweak is the Fuzz Factory, just because like you can always use it like an instrument, or maybe I sort of play with how I get the feedback. But I like what I was getting to at the beginning, if you don't understand how that circuit works, like you're not gonna like it at all. I have people telling me that it's broken, and I'm like, no, that's just what it does. It's supposed to make that noise.
it kind of sounds like that, yeah. Especially if you don't know what's the whole idea behind the Fuzz Factory. I know the singer and guitar player from Muse used it all the time, and he even built it in his guitar.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So he could adjust like the self-oscillating thing on his guitar, and it was just a built-in Fuzz Factory. So I think that pedal was really popular maybe 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I think
the Fuzz Factory.
Like those were probably started in the 90s, and because that, I don't know when Plug-in Baby from Muse came out, that's like early 2000s. Like, I think that's what it's probably most known for in terms of those Muse riffs. Yeah.
I don't even know what songs John used the Fuzz Factory on.
Yeah, it's another one that I just feel like is a live fuzz, like, and I just think of that Slane Castle intro, same as I think of the Fuzz Right intro. But
I read somewhere that he used it a lot on some of his solo stuff, but I'm not sure.
That makes sense.
Same thing for the Fuzz Right, I guess.
Yeah, I think people talk about him using the Fuzz Right on the Empyrean.
Yeah, I think so.
Which makes sense, like, for the timing.
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting though, all the information that floats around about like his gear and whatnot, like, and I always try and be a little bit skeptical and like let my ears guide me when I'm trying to recreate certain sounds or whatnot. But it's hard to know what's documented and what's not, because I hear a lot of people saying the same thing, and you think stuff just gets echoed. Like, I've talked about this before, but like having the settings maxed out on the DS2, like.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. I just did
I just talked about mellowship with the guys from the Universally Speaking podcast.
Okay, yeah.
And it's the same thing, the intro there. If you maxed out the DS2, it's not going to work. It's not going to sound... You never get that short notes. You get instant squealing and feedback. That's just not the sound. So I never really bought into that. I know he maxed it out during a certain tour, and there are pictures of his pedal board where those settings are maxed out, but he changes that all the time. Even if you look at pictures from his pedal board now, he has 2 DS2s and none of them are maxed out. So it's like you said, one person says this and everyone's copying what that person says. I always try to just use my ears, because even the information that John is giving in interviews is sometimes a bit off. I don't know if he just doesn't know, or like if he wants to build a little bit of mystery around stuff.
Right.
Because Dave Lee, his tech is saying different things. Like for instance on his pickups, I think John said once that it's Seymour Duncan's.
Yeah.
And Dave Lee says it's just stock Fender pickups. And then who are you gonna believe? I don't know.
Yeah, then I think something else came out, like since he rejoined the band, and he was saying that they were the original pickups. I think I talked about this.
Oh, really?
When I first visited, there was like 3 theories about which pickups are in the, I guess the 62 Strat. But so I just said, like, just use a Strat with single coil pickups. It doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, for me as well. I just bought a stock, what is it, 60s? I don't know. I don't even know the name of the guitar. Fender original 60s, I guess.
Okay,
I bought it maybe 2 years ago. I think it's a Fender, it's a USA guitar, but I think it's called American Original 60s, something like that. And it's just the stock pickups. And
does it have a
they
really,
sound like a Strat,
really fat neck?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I had my Strat as an American Professional, but I put the neck from the American Original. I ordered a neck because I like the really thick. It's like a baseball.
Me too.
It's like a baseball bat.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you use the thumb over to play the bass notes on the E string. Especially when you play higher up the neck, like on a D chord on the 10th fret. It's really difficult for me. I have huge hands to play it on a thin neck. Like my hand is like all over that neck. It's just not gonna work. Yeah. And when it's a thicker neck, then it's a lot easier to play that stuff. Yeah. I'm really curious about the what's it called? The signature Strat. People are talking about. I don't know if you heard anything about it.
I keep seeing I saw pictures of him getting 6 guitars delivered backstage.
Yeah, I saw that as well on Justin's channel.
I think JF Gear on Instagram, like the
he posted a picture.
it.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about that guitar. It definitely looks like made in Mexico, because I saw
the
that relic job isn't really great, but I already talked to my guy at the local music store, like when there's some news, just order one for me, because
right.
And I hope he was talking about that. He hoped there would be like an American made, maybe a custom shop, like a high end guitar. So that would be great. I would prefer like a more expensive custom shop, not like crazy $30,000 guitar, but just like a standard USA price, like maybe $2,500, something like that. That would be great.
I don't want to be tempted to buy one. It's much I'd like it. Yeah.
I have the perfect excuse with my channel, so I would definitely save up some money.
That's true.
So, but I'll buy the Mexican one as well. If that's like the only guitar that comes out, I would be happy to play on that guitar.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be buying that.
Yeah, because I think the Flea bass is It's also a made in Mexico one. The passive jazz bass,
Okay.
and it's really great. I use it all the time. It sounds great, plays great. I think it's better than a lot of American jazz basses I've played over the years. I was working at
that's
a
a
music
Mexican one
shop
too.
when that bass came out. Sorry?
That's a Mexican one too.
Yeah. So you have the active one, like the silver one. That's the American one.
Okay.
But it sounds completely different because it's an active
Right.
bass. And you have the passive bass that's made in Mexico. Yeah. But it's just as great, I think.
Yeah,
So
I
it
have,
doesn't
I
really
have
matter.
a Mexican jazz master. I don't play it very often because I'm always just playing Chili Pepper stuff with a Strat, but it feels really nice. I like it a lot. Yeah, I guess that goes back to our conversation a little bit about gear and like how important is it, because I don't think it is that much. I guess it depends what your goals are, but
It's just nice for me because I think a lot of people will be watching this and like, what is this guy talking about? He has all this crazy amps and pedals and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and he's talking about doesn't matter what's that all
you
about.
must have all the money in the
But it's
world.
just, yeah, that's definitely not the case. But for me, it's just because it's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
to play like your dream guitar or your dream bass. You know, I can easily make the videos I make with the stuff I own. I don't need a music man, but it makes me happy, and
Yeah.
I like playing a bass like that, and I like playing different pedals and experimenting with different pedals. That's like kind of my hobby. So yeah,
Yeah, you can't really put a
it
price
doesn't really
on
matter, but it's nice.
on that kind of stuff. Like if it makes you, if you enjoy it, you know, if you're gonna keep it, it's not like these things are terrible investments either.
Investments.
Like if you're buying used stuff, it's gonna keep its value. Yeah. I've just been of the mind that, like, especially since I only mostly play one guitar, I would like to just I'm at a point where I don't want to spend a lot of money, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's a challenge for sure. I think a lot of us face that. Like I saw a post on, I don't know if it was Instagram or Reddit the other day. It was a pedal. Oh yeah, it was Reddit, and it was like on one of the pedal pages. This guy shared a pic of his pedal board saying that he hadn't bought a pedal in over a year and was doing an AMA because of that. And you know, obviously some of the comments were just like, "How could you do it?" Like all the gear, what is it? Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah. I used to buy lots and lots of pedals, but not anymore, actually. I'm really at a point, like, pedal-wise, like, I own everything I need, kind of.
Yeah.
And there aren't lots of new pedals that excite me like they used to. I don't know why.
Is that just because you've got all your bases covered?
I think so.
Makes sense.
I own so many pedals. So I think I think about 160 pedals, something like that.
Yeah, I think you were
So it's a
showing me
lot.
a few of them
Yeah.
last time. Yeah, I don't have
I
close to
always
that
go
many.
to the same ones. So
Yeah, it's the same. I have like a whole bunch on a shelf, not 160, but there's a bunch that I don't really use. But I'm not sure that I want to. I'm not sure that I want to sell them or not.
you know, the thing with me is every time I sell something, like a few months after that, I'm like, oh, that pedal would be perfect for this. For instance, I bought the Phase 90 when John used it during the Californication tour. Bought the same pedal in the same period, and then I thought the sweep was a bit too like aggressive for a while, so I bought the like a vintage one, and that's milder.
Yeah,
So I prefer that one. So I wasn't using the Phase 90 at the time, and I just gave it away to a friend of mine. But then I started the channel, and I was like, I own this like exact Phase 90 that John used, and now I gave it away. So I contacted the guy like, oh, are you using this pedal like I gave you? So I kind of got it back. Yeah. So I'm always thinking like, maybe a pedal, is handy like in the future or for a session or for a recording maybe.
Yeah, it's nice to just, like, I don't know, have a little bit of a collection of something. But I've definitely become more selective, and since I've gotten into pedal building, I feel like I'm just gonna try and build whatever I want if I can first.
Yeah, that's nice.
And which now I'm using my own clones, and I'm not sure, like, should I keep these big vintage ones that are sitting there? Like, I don't know if I could sell them, but like, I'm not really using the CE1. I'm not using like the big deluxe electric Mistress, but they're kind of cool to have.
And don't they just become more valuable with time?
I guess so.
With time, maybe.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
Even the CE1 just almost doubled in price like the last few years, I guess.
Yeah, I bought it in, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I paid 700 Canadian, which like wasn't, it was a lot at the time, it seemed like. It still is a lot of money.
How many euros is that? Do you know how many euros
that is? The conversion?
Because I have no idea. I bought it around the same time, and I paid 500 euros, which was crazy expensive, the most expensive pedal I've ever bought.
Yeah, so 700 Canadian right now would be 480 in euros.
Yeah, I can see it's kind of the same. I bought it for 500 around the same time. So, and a few years before that, they were going for like 300 euros.
Okay.
And even that seemed like really expensive to me.
Crazy. Yeah, they really
at the time. So
just skyrocketed then. Because now like 700, I don't see that. I saw people pay, I want to say 500 for one that was like completely not working. It was like like looked like it was found at the bottom of the ocean. Like the inside was all rusted out, and like I was just following the eBay auction, and I thought maybe I can buy it for the shell, because like the outside shell looked still like in pretty good shape, but the inside was just toast. And I thought, you know, if I can get it for cheap, maybe like a couple $100 or something, I'll buy it and put a clone inside.
Yeah, that's it.
But then it sold for like 500 or something. I was like, that's crazy. You're just buying the shell.
So maybe just keep them for a while and sell them.
Yeah.
I'm always worried that I'm going to sell something, and then in 10 years or 20 years, I'm going to say, oh man, I used to own this and now it's worth like crazy amount.
Right. Like the guy who bought 2 pizzas with his Bitcoin. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Didn't know that
like
story.
It's like, I think it's one of the first like known Bitcoin transactions. And the guy sent, I don't know, a certain amount of it to this guy who had 2 pizzas delivered to his house. And it would have been I don't know, it might have even been into billions, but it was definitely like millions of dollars if you fast forward, 15 years or something.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
But you can't predict the future, so.
No, that's true. Yeah. Were there any more questions from Instagram?
There's a lot.
I'm curious.
See, that's the thing, people want to know. You get started talking about one thing and it leads to another.
I know.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned at some point if you played in a tribute band, you would use clones. Someone is asking why you don't play in a tribute band, because you would absolutely kill it.
That's a good question. The thing is, I like to use the stuff I use here at home, like my Marshalls And if you play in a tribute band, you're not gonna play huge like arenas or stadiums or anything. You're gonna play in a small bar. So you can bring a big Marshall. So you have to like, use smaller equipment, and then it doesn't have the punch and the sound that I enjoy. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I would enjoy it that much.
That's
I
fair.
think only for that reason, actually. Because for Johnstone, like the clean stuff, it has so much punch, you don't even really hear it in the videos I make, but when I'm here, it's crazy loud.
Yeah.
But the punch, like if you only hit one string clean, it fills the room. It really moves air.
Right.
And that's maybe the biggest like secret or thing about Johnstone is it's turned up so loud that his tone is just huge, even if he's playing like clean and playing single notes. It's never like a weak sounding signal. But when I'm playing in a small club, I played one song with a Dutch tribute band a few months back.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. How did that feel?
Yeah, and it was nice that they like recognized me and that they asked me to play a song. I was like kind of honored, and but yeah, that was the thing. Like the sound was way off for me. Like it wasn't my setup. So like the guitar felt different. Just because I'm using this really thick neck, and this was a really like narrow, like a smaller
Okay, so
neck.
it wasn't even your guitar.
No.
And not your guitar, not your rig, not your pedals, like none of it.
No. So, and then the sound for me, it was way too quiet. Like the guitar, I was like, oh, I have to turn it up. But then the sound guy was like, oh, the guitar is way too loud. It has to be more. And then I was thinking at that point, okay, if this is too loud, then for me, like it's okay. Then why even bother? Kind of.
Right.
And that's just for me. I know there are a lot of tribute bands out there who are really enjoying themselves, and the crowd enjoys it. And I know a lot of those guys are buying your pedals and watching my videos. So I definitely don't want to like be negative about that. But just it's for me, For me,
it's for what you're gonna get out of it. I completely understand both of those things, because you're not gonna like. I'm pretty inexperienced playing with other people, so like a lot of the times that I have, it never like it's I don't think it's the same as playing live, but sometimes it's not an ideal situation. Maybe you don't have all your stuff.
Always.
I've been in a lot of situations where I couldn't have used all my gear, and then the guitar, like, even when I have had my gear, I sometimes am not able to get the sound that I want out of it, or whatever it is. When you're feeling that way, when you're feeling like the guitar doesn't respond how you want it to, like that's the biggest thing to me, is like I'll hit it a certain way and it just sounds like wrong, and then I just become super like in my head about it, and then if it's not making the sound you want it to make, then it's not really like, it's hard to enjoy it. And I think like volume comes into that too, because if you're not able to play loud enough, you can't hear yourself, or it just doesn't sound right to you, then it's not going to be enjoyable.
So that's kind of the problem I have. I would love to play those songs with other people, but not necessarily like at a gig, not in a live. I would love like a jam session rehearsal thing with like-minded people.
Do you have that kind of option? Is there people locally you play with?
Not really. Yes, not really. I have some friends that I play with.
I guess is that potentially another reason why like the tribute band's not a thing. You need people to play with too, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure I could find people now that I don't know if I put it out there or on my channel, like I'm looking for some people to. I'm sure I would find some people who would love to like play some.
Are you living in a
JFX.
relatively like densely populated area?
No, I live in a small village, but it's okay. Like Belgium is really small. If I drive for 1 hour and 30 minutes, I'm at the other side of the country.
Right. Yeah, I'm in northern. Well, it's called Northern Ontario, even though we're still on the border of Michigan, but it's higher up than like where Toronto is. And yeah, it's a pretty small town, and we're relatively isolated, at least in terms of like driving distance to the next Canadian cities. And yeah, it's hard for me to find people to play with here. And
yeah,
I think that's probably the biggest reason why I haven't been able to do it, because I think it would be fun. I would like to play these songs and play them live, but I do realize that you know, putting yourself in a situation where the sound might not be ideal is like a real thing that live performers need to overcome. And
I think even with the Chili Peppers themselves, I think you can see some frustration on John sometimes in his face, and with technical stuff you can really he's not good at hiding like his frustration when things aren't sounding as they should be. And I can really relate to that, you know. It really gets you out of the moment, and it's difficult to readjust.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing. That's where you want to be. And if you're constantly thinking about this doesn't sound right, this doesn't feel right, it's very hard to, you know, close your eyes and listen to whatever else
really
is
get
doing.
into
it. Yeah.
And other thing for me is if I would play in a tribute band, the songs I would love to play are songs that almost nobody wants to hear. So that wouldn't be ideal as well. So everybody wants to hear like the big hits, and I would be interested to play like B-sides and like obscure old stuff, and I would really enjoy that stuff like that. So I
feel the same way, and it's hard to find other people, I think, that would have the same mindset, because it's hard for people not to have that pressure of like, this is what the people want to hear, you know.
Yeah,
I could die happy if I never played Danny California again, like with the group of people, you know. But
I can die happy if they won't ever play Danny California again.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to try to play the solo. I've just been trying to like improvise stuff, because there's a few solos that I feel like are so iconic that like it's hard to match the tone exactly, and like because they're so recognizable, I think if you messed up, it's like gonna just stand out like sore thumb. So like, I don't know, the Californication one is like a really good example of, I don't know, I find that one very tricky to like make it sound really good, and it's such a memorable solo that
when you're improvising, you mean, or
no, like if I was, say, to try and play the solo note for note from the album.
Okay.
I feel like I'm opting now to try and improvise more, to like learn some of the stuff that he did live.
That's a good way actually to learn, like the different licks he uses, and then like mix it up and make your own solos out of that.
That's what I've been trying to do, or just like sort of, sometimes I'll learn the live solo and then I didn't fully remember all the parts of it, but I kind of get the general roadmap. I've been trying to do that, learn a couple different variations, and then play around in that sort of framework, and that's been helping me, I guess, understand scales better and where I can do certain bends or certain licks.
That's a great way to learn.
I still feel like a real beginner when it comes to improvising and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm hoping doing that can sort of solidify my own understanding of what I should be doing. Because I want to feel like I can actually play the guitar instead of just like being a guy who copies somebody else's songs.
Yeah. What I used to do was like, I used to play in a cover band for 10 years, like a rock cover band. We played all kinds of songs like Pearl Jam, Rage Against the Machine, Metallica, AC/DC, stuff like that. And what I would do is like learn the recognizable parts from a solo, like mostly the beginning or just signature licks, and then improvise around that, improvise the rest, so I don't have to learn like note for note every solo, and just to keep it interesting for myself. And I think that's a great way, or maybe the best way, to like learn to improvise and to keep like the audience happy, that they have the feeling like they're listening to the song solo and not just some guy noodling in a bar.
Right.
Because that's kind of tricky if you just start improvising immediately, that people are like, oh, this isn't the solo, this isn't the song.
Right.
So I always like combined both things, like the signature licks and the improvisation. But on my channel, I try to play everything note for note, because I could easily improvise all the solos I do.
Yeah,
it would definitely be easier for me just to improvise something.
Yeah.
But I'm always thinking like, people are not here to watch me play in a way. They want to know what John plays and what Flea plays,
right?
And those parts, and they don't want why would they want to hear me noodling?
Right.
Would it be really interesting?
Have you ever considered doing like any live renditions? Even maybe do like
definitely, but
an additional version of a song you've already done. Okay.
I'm saving that for later, because there are so many like album tracks I want to do, and I'm working on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask,
thinking like,
are you planning on doing every single track on every single album? Is that a long-term goal?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm not sure if that's ever gonna work out. The future will tell, because it's so much work. But that's kind of the idea, the plan that I create this library of like every record, every song. So people that are just that want to learn a certain song from a certain period of the band, they just go to the playlist, select the album, select the track, and can watch how you play it and slow it down, so they can really follow along. That's kind of the idea, the channel. But I have no idea if that's like doable.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm trying to mix it up. Like it's a bit. If I play all the hits now, then I'm stuck with all the like more obscure stuff after that. So I really try to mix it up, like play a big hit, and then play some obscure like live track from a bootleg after that, and so I get some like, I can keep working on this channel even within 4 or 5 years and do
definitely
interesting stuff.
I think you could probably figure it out pretty quickly, like figure out how many songs they have, figure out how many you're doing a year, and you can see. You at some point you might need to start being more like diligent about how far you spread out the stuff, if you want to spread out the hits and whatnot. But it seems like you like playing the more obscure stuff. I mean, I wouldn't even call it obscure, but I guess to some people it is.
I'm not sure how I think about it. Sometimes I really enjoy, like, for instance, I did this song of, I think it's a Funkadelic song, or maybe a Parliament song that they used to play during the Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And I really enjoy stuff like that. And I know, like, from the views, it's like on the bottom of all my views.
Okay.
So
there's a few people that
into that as much.
A few people that like probably never even heard of that song. Like, I was that person, so I thought it was kind of cool. I think I didn't.
Yeah, a lot of people, and some people really enjoyed that. Like, oh, I never knew that song or knew that of that version of the Chili Peppers, and they are like thankful, or they are happy. Like, oh, that they got to know that. And I think a lot of people just don't watch it like, oh, I don't know that song, whatever.
Right.
But that's okay as well. I don't try. I try not to like look at the numbers too much. Because for instance, I could see like Soul to Squeeze did a lot better than the rest. Can't Stop did a lot better than the rest. But then it's a bit of a trap. Then, yeah,
Right.
that you just
So-
play all the big songs, like Go for Snow, Danny California, Californication, all that stuff in a
Right,
row,
right.
and then
Are you
I'm
just
basically
focusing
done.
on? Are you just focusing on your output then? Like, I'm just gonna make it like a video a week. Like you say, you're not thinking about the numbers of the views. Like, what?
Mhm.
Like, are you trying to ignore that completely, or you're just saying like that
That's
doesn't
almost
motivate
impossible because
you? Well, yeah,
YouTube is really pushing the numbers.
yeah.
So you have this app, and it's like really you get notification like this video isn't doing as well as your other videos. Maybe you should change the thumbnail. Maybe you should change the title.
Right.
So you get all the notifications, and it kind of gives a boost as well if you get a lot of views and a lot of comments. Yeah, it's just human nature, I guess. You feel
Yeah.
like, oh, great,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like this. And same thing like the other way around. If I like make a video of a song and I think it's great, I know, for instance, I did Nobody Weird Like Me a few months or a few weeks ago, I think, and it was a lot of work. It was
Right.
difficult, but it's basically 2 songs in one. So you have the beginning part, which is really fast, and then you have the ending, and it was so much work to figure everything out. And then the views are well, like bottom, like there weren't many views on that one. So it's
It sucks.
sometimes it's difficult to like not
Yeah,
be
yeah. I guess that's why I was
discouraged
asking,
by
just
that.
because I can sometimes put in a lot of work to, I don't know, creating something that I put out there into the world, into the online world, and then if you're thinking about how people respond to it, it can sometimes be a little discouraging. So sometimes I think to myself, like, I wish I could train myself to somehow ignore that, just focus on like what I'm putting out, like almost live oblivious to the likes and the numbers and the views. And because really at the end of the day, like, what do I want my life to be like day to day? Do I want to be looking at this stuff continuously, saying like, refreshing, did someone else like it, did someone else, what are the views at this morning,
I know that feeling.
yeah, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like it's hard. These things are like in the palm of our hands all the time, and
Yeah, and they are really made to do this and get you to feel like this. The apps, I mean, the notifications, everything is like, oh, hooray, hooray! You get a lot of views. Oh, it's not good.
yeah,
But I really try not to be bothered by that and just keep making videos that I enjoy, because otherwise I get burned out within a year. And that's also the reason why I get a lot of requests for certain songs that I don't feel like doing at the moment. And I just, in the beginning, I really tried to keep up with all the requests I got in the comments. But then it was just so many that I was just working off this list of requests, and then there was no time or place for the songs that I enjoy playing and that I wanted to do. So I just I know what people want to hear, so I keep that in mind. But I combine it with the stuff that I want to play, and that the stuff that makes me happy, and the stuff that I think is interesting. Because I also think that there are a lot of people that just don't know. They don't know certain songs, don't know certain parts. And I think it's interesting as well to like learn where certain songs come from, or certain arrangements or parts. I was talking with the Funkadelic video, I was talking about how that part really influenced another song. I think it influenced Patchy Rose Peacock. It's kind of this, it has a weird guitar part, and it's kind of the same technique as the Funkadelic song. which is Dr. Funkenstein.
Yeah.
So even though not a lot of people are watching that video or I'm maybe that interested, I think it's still interesting, like, to learn stuff like that. And I think there are always people that really want to dive deep into the history
and
of
like
the band.
that's still a portion of your audience, right?
Mhm.
Like, and who knows, like, who you should be creating the videos for? Is it for those people, or is it for the broader audience that's only going to watch some of your videos, or is it for you?
I think there's a place for all of that.
Yeah, like that's what I think. I'm trying to find the same balance too. Like, I've been trying to interact with people like more on Instagram and say, like, what kind of stuff do you want in terms of pedals, in terms of the content that I create. But at the end of the day, like, I gotta want to do it myself, otherwise it's gonna suck. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that people are putting out kind of sucks, or it feels forced, and I don't want to do that. But it's hard to find that balance, because, like you said, that like the platform wants you to do that. Like, it wants you to be on your phone. It wants you to be creating more content. So how do you flip it around so, like, you're the one who's using it, like, to serve what you want, instead of the other way around,
How do I do that, you mean?
Just in general? I'm just thinking, like, just talking out, thinking out loud.
Yeah, it's difficult. I go both ways. I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, I just don't care. I want to make videos that make me happy. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who enjoy them, and that's great. And that's it. But on the other hand, especially the day that you upload a video, I know the refresh feeling, like, a new comment, and usually there's a new comment and I respond within 2 seconds. It's like a bit obsessive, but I also like to interact with people, and usually people are really grateful and are complimenting me on the videos or asking questions about gear, and I just really like to interact with people. So that's also a reason, maybe a bigger reason, why I'm really online at the moment that I upload a few hours, because to watch the numbers go up, that was something I did in the beginning, a little bit more, like, and then for instance, a lot of my viewers are in the US and in Brazil. Like, number one country in my viewers are, like, number one is US, second is Brazil, and the third is UK.
Okay.
So a lot of views are when I'm asleep.
Right.
So in the beginning, I uploaded the video, and then I woke up, and then, it's another extra 1,000 views or something.
Right.
And in the beginning, sometimes I just woke up at night, and it was like 3 o'clock at night for me, and then I instantly, like, went to the app, the YouTube Studio app, like, how many views? But I don't do that. Don't do that
good.
anymore. I just those are just numbers, and
hard not to, though. Yeah. I can understand.
I think everyone struggles with that. Everyone that's like a content creator, you want people to see what you do because you put a lot of effort in it, and if nobody sees that, it's just why even bother? I can play these songs myself, and I don't have to record them, and it's a lot easier, and I get the enjoyment of playing a song, and that's that. And you just want people to see what you do, and maybe learn something, maybe ask some questions. That's the joy of doing this.
I think ultimately it's about sharing something with other people, and, like, not even the sense of, like, hey, like, I made this thing, let me share it with you, but, like, sharing with people as part of a community, because, like, you mentioned you like responding to the comments and questions that people have. I do too. Like, I get a lot of messages just on Instagram, and I respond to all of them. maybe it's not always right away, but I make an effort of responding to each and every message I get. And I like that. I like when people talk to me, and there's people that you talk to regularly and sort of form these relationships with, even though you've never met them, which is really cool. And you can, it's like I mentioned, I live in a small town. I don't know too many other people here that are like really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers or playing guitar or getting gear. So when you talk to these people online, it's like, oh, I'm not alone,
Yeah, you find like-minded people, and that's a great thing. Like, I'm really into it and into every little detail, and almost everyone I know isn't.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking to them or my wife, for instance, you're like, there we go again. She doesn't care, but I want to share, like, I found this out, and this amp, this setting. Oh. For me, it's like the greatest thing in the world, and like the people around me are like, yeah, who cares? I was at a party, I think 2 days ago, and I was talking to this guy who is a guitar player as well, but I was talking to him, and at a certain point he was, you are really into the Chili Peppers, aren't you? So, okay. I'll stop.
Yeah.
But for people like-minded people, it's nice to talk to people from Brazil, from Italy, from the US, from Canada, and people who are into it as much as I am. So I really that's the thing I love most about doing this, like the interaction with like-minded people.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's like, I think it's been the thing that's kept me going, because like, trying to build a business, trying to sell something, even like I've got that part of it. It's different than like trying to create content, but just trying to be successful at like some kind of venture like that. It's not easy. It's not easy to continue doing something, like, especially if it's not making you any money at the beginning. You gotta like enjoy it, and it's challenging. I find it challenging. Like, sometimes you run into problems, like, or some days I don't feel like playing guitar, and like I've been trying to get better at, instead of pushing myself like, oh, I should practice today, or I should keep going, like, if you don't feel like it, maybe just like let it go, and instead of letting it, like, if it's going to affect you sort of mentally. But some days I feel like I can't play as well as others, and maybe it's better to just, if you're not feeling it, just don't do it.
I'm kind of the same way, because I want to upload a video every week, but sometimes just life gets in the way. I have just my job, I have 2 kids. Sometimes things just don't work out, because I have to practice a lot for these videos, and that's sometimes, for instance, I want to record a video tomorrow, but I had to practice today, but there was a thing with the kids, and that took a little bit longer, so I didn't have a lot of time to practice. And then I had this terrible headache this afternoon, and I was trying to learn this very fast bass part, and my head, I was just like, oh man, this isn't fun. And it's supposed to be fun. So
now
I'm trying to be...
Now I'm making you stay up until almost midnight to
it's okay. The headache is gone. I'm relaxed now. It's all good.
That's good. That's good. I can feel your pain. I get a lot of headaches myself when it's not fun.
No. I have terrible headaches, actually. I thought it was migraine. I have this medication. But I think that it's actually like stress headaches. I don't know if that has a specific name, but I noticed that in situations that are stressful for me, I get this terrible headaches. Like, I can't function anymore. Like, I have to literally throw up.
Yeah,
it happened to me a few times.
That.
Or
I used to throw up all the time.
Move anymore. It was one time after a gig. We played a gig and stuff went wrong, and I was so stressed out. I couldn't go home, even in the car. I had to stay with somebody just to try to sleep, and I was just like I couldn't see any. It was crazy. My view was completely narrow like this. But it's
for
oftentimes
people
in stressful situations. Yeah.
for people that don't suffer from migraines or like severe headaches, I don't know how I would explain it, but ever since I was a kid, I used to get migraines where I would throw up, or like almost the only relief sometimes would be if I throw up, but they would be so bad I'd get sick to my stomach. Like I would just, the only relief I could find was to put like an ice pack on my head and try and sleep.
I know
which
that
would eventually leave me. Like at some point I would get sick and throw up, and then maybe I could fall asleep. But yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't get them that bad to the point where I vomit as much as an adult, but I still can get headaches pretty frequently. And
Yeah, me too.
sometimes they're just debilitating.
Yeah. But I try to be a bit like mindful of that and just don't be too hard on myself. Like if I feel like that, I try to maybe rehearse a little or just don't and say, okay, I'll do it another day, or maybe just skip a video this week because life just got in the way, and that's it.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then, yeah. Because for me, the most important thing that it's fun and it keeps like being fun for me to do. That way I can do this for years.
Yeah.
But if it's like a thing I have to do and it's a obligation in a way, then I can't keep it up.
Won't be as sustainable. That's for sure. Well, let's see. I feel like we haven't gotten through too many of the questions, but someone wanted to know like what other rig rundowns will be coming. I think they're referring to like the video you posted today where you talk about the settings.
Yeah, I did this for a while. I think 6 months back. I did it for every song. And then I didn't for a while, and I just put the settings in the description of the video.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of people don't even think about reading the description. Because I got a lot of questions like, what are the amp settings for this song? And I wrote them down in the description. But so I was talking to Justin. I don't know his last name. Is it Justin Jetski?
Jetski, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I would say it.
Sorry, Justin, if it's... But he's a great guy, and I asked him if it was okay for me to call him, just talk to him, like privately, and have a conversation about running a YouTube channel, and we were talking, which was really nice of him, and that he took the time. And I was talking about that I don't make any money of it, which is not my goal. Isn't really to make lots of money with the channel.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's about 3 days a week for me, and that's a lot. I also have a family and a house and all that stuff. And those 3 days I can't do my regular job. So sometimes, like financially, it's a bit of a problem. But since I'm doing cover songs, like I get some share of the how do you call it?
Revenue?
Of the revenue. But it's so little. It's just, I think, to be honest, so I've been working on it for I think 14 months. And I got about $90, so $90.
Right.
Which is, I used to work, last year I worked 5 days a week, this channel. And I invested like a few €1,000 in like gear stuff.
Yeah.
So that's not really sustainable. And Justin was like, maybe you should think about doing like the more like gear related videos, like talk about pedals and settings and how we do things.
Right.
And try to be careful like what you play. So don't play too much of a song, so you don't get the copyright claim, which is a bit. I don't really like to think about stuff like that. I just want to make nice videos and demonstrate things.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to be aware of that. So that was also a bit of the reason that I made the Can't Stop the gear related video, because Justin was like, maybe you should like try to.
So you can have some videos that are not shared, like
that make me some money.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that for every song, because some songs are more interesting like gear-wise than other ones. Some songs are like just the CE1 and a WH10 and that's it.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna talk about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'll do that more often, but only if it's really interesting, like gear-wise.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I'm not sure.
Some stuff's definitely more interesting than others. And I've been trying to create, or like at least begin to create some content around that kind of stuff, like how to get John's sounds. And I have lots of things I'm looking forward to talking about, but I feel like I'm trying to do it somewhat in a logical order, like starting from the beginning, like with kind of the amp sound and getting into clean tone, and then I'm going to kind of branch out from there, and at some point it'll become about individual tracks. But I've been having the same sort of dilemma, because I would like to do stuff where I use like maybe listen to parts of the original guitar and, you know, try and listen like, this is what's happening on this side, this is what's happening on this side. But then, you know, are you going to get, I'm not even at a point where I can monetize my channel, but I'm thinking about that down the road. If I keep creating these videos, do I want to use stuff that's going to be copyright? You know, it's hard to say.
I think a combination is good.
Yeah. Eventually, I guess, because there's a lot of people that are building, like, there's people that are making a living pretty much with cover channels, but also doing like demo stuff, right? And they're
I don't really know how that works. You have this guy. Let's play.
Let's play
all. Is that the name of the channel?
It's a play on a Pearl Jam live. They did 2 nights at Wrigley Field and did a live album called Let's Play 2, which is like a. I just know this because I used to go to a lot of Pearl Jam shows, and I was actually at the shows that the record is based on.
Okay.
These 2 shows, and
is that a DVD?
Yeah, it's a DVD, and there's like a record. It's relatively new. It's like later in their career, and
I think I own that DVD actually. Is it like a baseball stadium or something like that?
Yeah, it's at Wrigley Field. There's a famous player on Wrigley Field who used to say like something about, it's so nice, like let's play 2 baseball games today. I guess, I don't know, I'm not a baseball guy.
Okay.
I think it was just a play on that, because he started off only doing Pearl Jam covers. I remember his channel from the very beginning. It was like he was playing both Mike and Stone parts on all 10. Then he since has branched out to do more like 90s and grunge stuff, and started talking. But I think videos.
He only does cover songs. No, I think so.
Yeah, it's mostly
sure.
Like he'll play the parts or does lessons now, and then. But also does
but then you
gear
get
demos.
The same problem as I got, that you have to share the revenue, which is not an equal share. It's not like 50-50. It's
right.
Like, I don't know what the actual...
Right. I would imagine what people like that are doing, though, is like getting a significant source of their income from like pedal companies to do demos.
Probably.
I'm not sure what else. I mean, I guess there's other ways of monetizing an audience, but
yeah. But for me, all that stuff is so. It's kind of difficult because I want to be honest. I'm not saying that those guys are not honest. That's not what I'm getting at. But for me, it's so important that I'm just myself, and if I get paid by companies to like say something about a pedal.
Yeah,
that gets in the way in my head. Just like, but how can I be honest if somebody pays me X amount to talk about their pedals?
Yeah, I guess you could sort of make that a disclaimer at the beginning. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna review it honestly. Companies might not want to send you something or pay you to do it, but
Yeah, maybe.
from
Because
my
no, I reviewed some pedals, and I did, but it's always the case. Like, some people contact me, they want to send me a pedal, and I'm like, sure, because I love pedals and I would like to demonstrate it for sure. But I'm not getting paid to say anything,
yeah
so that's a bit easier. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not really sure where I want to be in regard to like money and pedals and the companies, and I just want to make nice, honest videos with my honest opinion. And if I don't like a pedal, I don't want to say like, oh, this is a great CE1 clone. If I don't think so, I don't feel good saying that, you know.
Yeah, and I think at some point, like, people, I feel like maybe it's already happened that like the demo community has become a little transparent, that, you know, any company can pay any YouTuber to make a video, and anybody can make any pedal sound good. Like, you don't know what, you know, you don't know what else is plugged in. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
All I'm trying to say is, like, I think JHS like posted a video about this. Like, I didn't watch it, but just the thumbnail is like our pedal reviews honest, something like that.
I really
who
like
knows?
his videos because he's playing through all kinds of pedals and like talking about how Behringer pedals are great. It's just so
I like how
against-
that he highlights like cheap stuff, unknown stuff, different companies. Like, it's really cool. Yeah, I don't know that I'm qualified to give you any advice, but I would say, like, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, because, well, it seems like you enjoy it. You know sort of what you want to do, and you can just focus on building an audience. You can kind of decide what you want to do in that sort of regard later.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't try to think a lot about stuff like that, but sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, you want to be somewhat compensated for your time, but I think
I don't
know.
really know.
it's hard.
It's not even about money and like, I sometimes get the feeling that I'm like just hobbying away. I know that's not a word, but in my studio, and I've been working for 3 days just for the fun of it, and my wife is actually working, and I kind of feel bad in that way, you know, that I don't. I'm just doing stuff that's fun for me, but not really.
Yeah, that's
I don't
that's
know
how I feel
the right
about,
word.
That's how I feel about it a lot too. And like, I'm even selling a physical product, and it's, you know, it's not easy to start a business or to make money right away. So it's like hard to know when I'm gonna see like a return on my investment, because I put a lot of time into this, you know, and I'm not really making a lot of money. But I think that if I continue like on the trajectory, that it's possible. But then it becomes a question of like, how much risk are you willing to take to get to that? And you don't, the outcome is unknown, you know. But I think that's the same way it is for anybody who's become successful at any sort of business or creative endeavor.
Probably, yeah.
You know,
It's
like
just-
John wouldn't have been the guitar player he could be if he didn't hole up in his bedroom and like practice when he was a teenager for hours, you know. Like, are you going to do that because you think that you're going to make a bunch of money in 15 years or something? Probably not. So
I don't think so.
kind of hard for us to like think of it that way too, you know, because you're
Yeah, I
not,
think
you're not going to keep doing it if you don't want to do it yourself. Just for like, that's enough. You know?
I think for me, it's it's even different than for you. I think you are making a product. It's supposed to sell.
Yeah.
I'm just creating videos for people to enjoy and to learn stuff, and that's already happening. So my goal is already like I already reached my goal in a way. It's just the mindset of how long can I keep this up without, for my family, you know. If I would be like super rich, then this would be great and this would be easy. But
yeah, I know.
we don't have a lot. We don't have a lot of money, so that's kind of difficult. That you look at the bank account and it's like, oh, it's almost And then I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should like work instead of making videos.
Yeah, like even though I am like selling something and not just trying to build an audience, I am going through the same sort of like thoughts and struggles when it comes to money, for sure. Which I guess is like what I was basing that off of. That it's, you know, in both cases, I think it's like uncertain what like the future is in terms of that kind of thing. And yeah, it's a tricky situation to be in. Yeah, but I don't know. I hope that you continue to make the videos, and personally, I hope that I continue to do what I do. And that, you know, whatever like success is to us, that we can achieve whatever that is. Sometimes I don't even know what it is that I want. So
I just wanted to say I don't even have a specific goal. Like I said before, I already kind of reached my goal in a way. Like people are watching my videos and enjoying them and learning stuff. So that's basically, I think my goal is just to make more of what I've already done.
Yeah.
So that's okay. It's just that the world around me like needs me to make some money. So that's
right.
That's another thought. But enough about that. Are there any more questions?
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about money that much.
That's okay. I know. I didn't want to get too into it either, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about a lot too.
Yeah.
One of the questions, I think I already know the answer to it, but someone was asking how you felt about Josh and Dave Navarro.
I actually love all the guitar players. I love Hillel Slovak as well. Dave Navarro joined when I just got into the band. You know, I got a copy of Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and then the first footage I saw was of Woodstock '94, which was with Dave Navarro, and I really fell in love with the band at that point. I started playing guitar a few months after that, and then I was waiting for One Up Minute to come out, and saw them live 2 times with Dave Navarro, and I thought it was fantastic. I really loved it. For the Josh era, I already knew of Josh Klinghoffer because he played with PJ Harvey in 2004, and I owned a DVD of that tour, which was really great, and I really loved Josh Klinghoffer as a guitar player, and then saw some things and energy stuff from myself in him. And he's also, I think we are the same age, actually.
Okay.
So I was really into this guy who was playing a bit like I play or want to play.
Right.
So then he joined the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was really into it. And was like, oh man, this guitar player I already love for the last.
Like, are you referring to when he replaced John, or like touring with them before that? Did you know of him?
I think when he replaced John, because I knew he was like a backing guitar player, or second guitar player, or how you want to call it.
Yeah.
But that was just I really mean when he replaced John.
Yeah.
Because at that point, before I'm With You came out, I was thinking that, oh, maybe it's a new energy in the band, and maybe it's like a kick in the butt or something.
Right.
But then there was this live footage from Germany. I don't know if you remember this or know about it, but that was the first thing that came out with Josh on guitar, and it was in cinemas worldwide. It was a live stream.
Okay. Yeah.
So
No,
I
don't
went
know
to
what
with a friend of mine. I went to the cinema,
That's cool.
and it was nice. So you had the big screen, and it was a
Yeah.
live stream from Germany. And I was really curious, like, what's Josh's take on the classics, you know?
Yeah.
I really wanted to hear that. And then they played "I'm With You" entirely from beginning to end.
Oh, well.
And it's before the album came out, so the energy dropped a little for me
Right.
watching this.
Right.
So that kind of, because of that, I wasn't into the record when it came out, because I saw the live footage and I was hoping to see
Right.
the classics. And I honestly think "I'm With You" isn't the greatest. I think there are some nice moments, but I think even Josh did a lot of how do you say this? It wasn't 100% what he wanted to do as well. That's kind of what I think,
Yeah.
what I feel. Like there are a lot of like things that it should be like this because it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of
I think on that
boundaries. Is
album,
that the
he's
right
really
word?
trying to like feel out his space, like
Yeah,
you know.
and it kind of, to me, it sounds like it didn't really come to fruition. Is that the word? I
Fruition.
don't know.
Yeah.
Fruition.
I
sorry.
think it seems to be generally regarded that that's like not their best album, and that like even that's quite a bit different than The Getaway. But I think I listened to that. That was probably the first album that I actually ever really listened to. I knew the Chili Peppers before, just from the radio
I'm With
hits,
You,
probably.
you mean?
Yeah. I didn't really like consume
Okay.
albums that much at the time. I think I was around 20 when that came out, and was just started turning on to like guitar-based music. And the album was streaming free on iTunes, so I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh, this is." I thought it sounded pretty good. So like, I didn't have any expectations or anything to like. I don't even think I really knew who John was, or that it wasn't the same guitar player. So I didn't have any sort of.
That makes so much difference.
Yeah.
Because to me, there are so many expectations. Even for the new records, like John came back, I couldn't help myself. I tried to really keep an open mind, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping for certain sparks or certain things that I remember from the past. And it's just not 1991 anymore.
It's very hard to. Like I've had it happen with a lot of bands that I started to like, and then they put out a new album after I already familiar with like the rest of the catalog, and I can think every time I've been excited for an album, it's been disappointing almost, at least on some level. But it's just because of that expectation. I think it's really hard to listen to something from a band that you love with an open mind.
Yeah, I think I never experienced that I really love a band, and then a record came out, like when I was already a few years like really into the band, and then a record comes out, and then it's my favorite. I think that never happened.
Yeah.
It's always the record that's like the first record I know of the band. And I think that's for everybody. Like a lot of people say Blood Sugar Sex Magic is their best work, and then you have this whole camp that is like Stadium Arcadium.
Yeah.
And you can just tell that the age difference, you know. You can see that the people that are really into Stadium Arcadium were like teenagers or early 20s when that one came out. And the same was, for me with the 90s stuff. I was a teenager back then.
Yeah.
So that's the first time you hear that stuff. And it's so much, you can never replicate that feeling of the first time you hear certain guitar solos or slap bass. For me, that slap bass thing was so huge. It was like, what is this sound? How is this humanly possible to make this noise? And once you know that and you know what the technique is, that's never going to be the same. You know, if a new record comes
Right.
out and there's slap bass, I don't have
Right,
the feeling
Right.
when I was 14 years old, like, what is this? How is this
Right.
possible? I know what it is. And it's the same thing with, for instance, live gigs. The first time you go to a live concert, you have the PA, the lights, everything. It's so much. It's so. If you've seen 50 shows already, it's impossible to have the same impact.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely
I think that's
felt
to
that.
go back to the like the Chili Peppers tribute band conversation we had in the beginning. It's kind of the same thing. When I was like a teenager or maybe early 20s, when I played live, it gave me so much like energy, and it was so exciting for me, even if the sound was terrible. It was
Right.
just the energy of getting on a stage. And if you've done that so many times, I played in this cover band for 10 years every weekend. So at a certain point, you don't get that same excitement anymore.
Yeah.
You get excited, but not in the same way. When it's just, I remember when I was, I think 16 years old, first time I got into a rehearsal room, just to put a Marshall on 6. It was so life-changing for me. Just the volume of the amp, because at home it was a really small amp and it has to be on 1 because the neighbors are going to complain.
Yeah.
So the first time you can really put it loud and turn it up and have a drummer that's bashing away.
Yeah, you're never gonna
It's
have those
impossible
like
for me
first
to have that same
times.
feeling now.
Yeah.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
times, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the only thing that we can remotely do to try and recreate that is to keep yourself from doing that thing for an extended period of time, then go back to it. You know, like maybe if you didn't play out loud, you just played in your headphones for a year or something and then went to step back into your studio and cranked up the Marshalls, you might get it a little bit.
But I get that feeling now in my studio, because I never did this with the huge Marshalls. It was like a kind of a dream for me.
Right.
Always.
Okay. Yeah.
I played live, but I used a Fender combo because I also played in small venues, so I couldn't. Sometimes I brought a Marshall with a 4x12, but I had to turn the speakers around, you know,
Right.
with the back to the audience because it was always too loud, stuff like that. So to be able to really crank it, and that's just a dream. That's why I started this channel, just to do stuff I wanted to do when I was 16 years old, and just do it.
That's cool, man.
To really
Just
find
do
that enjoyment, because there was a period of time that I was not so much into playing guitar and bass anymore, just because I did it for so many years, and it's just repetitive in a way.
Well,
if you play the same gigs, and we played the same songs for 10 years, and then it was
I could see how that
Alive again
would get tiring. Yeah.
I love Pearl Jam, but Alive really for the millions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Were you playing Even Flow too?
No, only Alive.
I was gonna say, because that's the one that I don't want to hear live again. I've seen it. Even Flow's like I think the hardcore Pearl Jam fans refer to that as their piss break song. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I kind of like Even Flow though.
Yeah, I like the album. Well, actually, I like the video version better. Like not the actual version that's on 10. The video version, slightly different mix.
Oh, really? I never noticed.
I like just
the version on
the riff
10
sounds
is really slow. No?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like there's just, I don't know. The guitar tone sounds different to me on this video version, but live they always stretch it out into like an 8-minute thing, and Mike does like a noodly solo forever. And
yeah, for me it's just the same thing with the Californication, like the live intro. I know a lot of people are into that part of the show, but for me it's like noodling away for 5 minutes on 2 chords.
Yeah.
I'm kind of.
I definitely like.
I like to hear songs.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
I think like certain time that with improvising, you know, you're not always going to capture lightning in a bottle. I think some of like the intro at Sling Castle is pretty iconic.
It's so funny. I listened to it's the chair. I listened to Slain, the intro, and I was listening to bootlegs from the show before and the show after that. So, and they're completely different, the intros. So that was so funny to me because Slain is so iconic, and I was thinking like, if it would be the other intro that he did the night before, the night after that, if that would be as iconic. Like, is it iconic because we've heard this intro so many times? Because
I'm
it's
wondering
the intro from
thing.
the DVD.
Yeah, like it's cemented.
So interesting.
Its legacy.
It was completely different. The other intros, completely different.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's probably something with just like seeing it with the footage too, seeing them. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if you could see it from the show before or after. Probably just audio, right?
It was just audio.
Yeah. So it's like
but I like
trying to figure
the
out
intro
what came
jams.
first. You know, the chicken or the egg. Like, is it popular because it's on the DVD or is it popular because it's good? I don't know.
Probably
a little bit of both.
both. But yeah. What's your, like, I don't know if you're going to see them next year or this year.
We saw them in Toronto in 2022, I guess, last summer. Yeah. And
are there certain songs that you want to see?
I'm sure there is, but I had seen them twice with Josh, and they only there was only 2 songs that were different on the set list, so I kind of had the idea already that I'm probably going to see a lot of the same songs. I guess I'm not really accounting for the new albums, but when I saw them, like Return of the Dream Canteen hadn't come out yet, although they I think just released the single for Tip of My Tongue, so I thought maybe like they would debut it, but they didn't. I like so many of their songs that I don't know if I could pick any like off the top of my head. It would probably be like when I'm listening to that album and I hear that part, I'd be like, oh, it'd be cool to see this, but you know that never will for a lot of them. Yeah, generally I just wish they would mix it up more, but
yeah, I think especially the last few set lists, I tried to follow it online, and I think the last 3 or 4, they were all kind of the same to me, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a bit disappointing because in the beginning of the Unlimited Love tour, they mixed it up quite a bit. They played like a lot of different songs from the new record at that point. So I was thinking in the beginning, like, they're trying to play the entire record over the tour. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they kind of stopped doing that, and it was just Aquatic Mouth Dance, Here Ever After, just a few, The Heavy Wing, just a few songs that they just keep playing.
Yeah,
and
I think
the same thing with the new record. They just play the same 4 or 5 songs, even though there are 17 songs on there. And I would love.
Yeah, I would think that they would play them
mix it up,
like try and stretch it out a little bit and mix it up. But yeah, I don't know. I was surprised even here that they thought it was too much of a risk to play the Dream Canteen songs like before they had like that chance to like have a break and rehearse again after the album came out. They were just touring with Unlimited Love, so I don't know.
Yeah, you would think that they would just run through it during a sound check or something, you know.
Yeah,
but
yeah. You think they'd figure it out?
Probably not the case. Yeah,
it's too bad.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's just the songs that are. There are certain songs that they're gonna play, and if it's too much of that, and it becomes a bit. What do you say it? Like that, you already know what's coming next.
Yeah,
kind of. I like to be surprised. I think that's what I'm leading to here. And it doesn't really matter to me if it's like all old obscure stuff. That would be great. But I would also love to hear like different stuff from the Dream Canteen or just different songs from Unlimited Love. I would be really happy to hear songs they didn't play yet or don't play it as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know. I don't have any plans to see them again in the near future, though. I'm not sure when I will.
I'm gonna
again,
see them
but
2 times this summer,
Yeah.
but they are both festival gigs, so I know they will play even shorter,
Yeah.
and it's usually the obscure stuff that's
Yeah.
getting scrapped from the set
Yeah.
list. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a bit worried that it's only gonna be the big hits, but I'm also trying to get in the mindset headspace that I'm gonna be able to enjoy those moments as well, like to be really in the moment and really think, they're here in front of me, my heroes, they're playing. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what they play,
Yeah. That's
in
it.
a way.
That's what I was trying to do. It was hard though, because this was the first time in a long time that I had, like, when I saw them last summer. It had been a long time since I'd been to any show, just because of COVID, and I was thinking about it for a while leading up to it. So I was very excited. I hadn't, like you said, you go to so many shows, eventually you just become sort of jaded to that experience, and it doesn't excite you anymore. And that's sort of how I felt for a long time seeing bands. But this was like, oh, John's back. I've never seen him before. I was really excited, and yeah, I think it's hard to say that if I met my expectations, or because I didn't really have any specific ones, but I remember trying to be pretty diligent when I was there to, like, just sort of be in the moment and enjoy it, and I think I did a fairly good job of that. But like the beginning of it, I think they started with an intro jam into Can't Stop, and just hearing his guitar come in for that was like very exciting. I hadn't felt that. Like, I think that was probably the highlight, was just like the first few seconds, or the first few minutes of it. Just hearing like his guitar sound so loud, being like right there, it was worth it. Yeah.
I remember this gig. I saw them in 2000, I think 2002. It was before By the Way was released, but they played some stuff from By the Way. It was like a sort of tryout tour, a small tour. They all had a mustache.
Okay.
And they played Universally Speaking. They played Fortune Faded, but with a different chorus. It wasn't finished yet. But I think it was this show, or maybe it was the year after that, By the Way tour. But I was in the front row, in front of John's amps. But the place wasn't as big as where they play now. It's so huge. It's for 70,000 people. Back then it was also huge, but not as huge.
Yeah.
So I'm in the front, and the guitar was so loud that I couldn't hear the drums. I couldn't hear the vocals. And it's honestly 100% true. It was as if I was at a guitar clinic, like just John playing those songs and hearing the sounds straight from the Marshalls, straight from the stage.
That's crazy.
I'm sure that he still used all 4 caps, because now it's only the bottom ones that are on.
Okay.
The other ones are just for show. And I'm sure he's not as loud anymore on stage as back then. Back then it was crazy
That's
loud.
crazy.
I've never heard anyone this loud on a stage.
Was that?
I couldn't hear the drums.
What was that experience like? Were you? Like,
I laughed.
It must have been.
I kind of loved it.
I was going to say, like, to me, I don't know if I'd want to hear just the guitar. Like, it'd be.
Yeah.
I think obviously I'd prefer to get a nice mix, but it's hard to like, depending where you're standing in a venue, it's going to sound dramatically different. So I guess that's the price you pay for standing right in front of the Marshall stacks.
Yeah, it isn't.
Yeah.
Sound wise, it's definitely not the best spot.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, just from it like guitar technical
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It was nice, and I don't remember too
that's pretty
much
exciting.
of it. I remember that, and I remember that John made a mistake in this Zephyr song. He went to the bridge too early,
Okay.
and he played this really loud part on guitar, and he started his backing vocals really loud. But it was supposed to go back to the verse, like a quiet bit. So the whole band was like quiet, and he was like shouting, playing this chord. It was so funny. And it took a while because he was making this noise by himself. So it took a while before he realized that he was in the wrong spot.
Yes.
I remember that. And those moments are always memorable and fun in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I always kind of enjoy it when a band or an act messes up. And then, you know, like they can just joke about it. Hopefully don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, sometimes you become a bit more loose after that. That's my own experience.
Yeah.
Because you're like, then you are like, who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
Like, that.
Like what's the worst
already
that can
happened.
do? Yeah.
Let's just enjoy this. Yeah. Sometimes it's for the better.
Yeah.
I saw
I think so.
Metallica a few weeks ago, and they played Seek and Destroy, and James was like shouting like "Seek and Destroy," and then there was this count in or count off, how do you call it, on the drums.
Yeah.
But James was shouting so loud that he didn't hear the count on drums.
Yeah.
So he didn't start the riff. So half the band started playing, he didn't, and he was just like, stop, we're gonna do that again. I was too loud, and they did it again, and then Lars counted it. Normally he counts off on a cymbal, on a china, and now he counted off like on the cymbal and on a floor tom, like crazy loud. And then when the riff started, everyone was really into it, so the whole stadium was like, yeah. That really worked. It was a mistake, but the energy that just...
Yeah, it's interesting, like how sometimes like you could think that a mistake is going to be a bad thing, but somehow it's good. Like I think it's all about how you react to it, right? I don't know. I've never been in that situation, but I think that's got to be the best response, is to just shrug it off.
Have you ever seen the videos where Flea gets pissed off because his bass is out of tune?
I don't know if I've ever looked at them. No.
From the late 90s, I think 1998, something like that. There are a few videos that his bass is out of tune and he just smashes the entire bass. He's so angry. It's like, and I think it's so funny because he's always like love and peace, and I'm so grateful, and we love this and we love that, and then his bass is
it seems out of character for sure.
Instantly, like. It's funny to me.
Yeah, I guess if you expect something to be like in a certain state,
I just think his energy is so way up because it was the first song as well. It was "I Like Dirt," and it was the first song of the set. So I think he's so pumped to start, and he's like all this energy, and then he just can't play, and he has to stop. It's just frustration and this build up and all this energy.
Yeah, it's got to be hard for that. That guy's got a lot of energy, that's for sure. He's crazy.
Well, were there any more questions?
I'm sure there's a couple that I didn't get to, but I think I don't want to keep you up too late. It's already midnight, I guess, there, eh?
I don't really care, but...
No,
it's okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's you know, I felt the same way last time. There's always more to talk about, so hopefully we can do this again. And
sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to do this regularly. Like it goes back to what we were talking about before about just being a part of that community. Like I like to be able to talk to other people like with similar interests, other people that are creators, and hopefully, you know, more people like yourself will be willing to talk. I feel like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, are there specific people you would like to talk to? Or that you've...
Yeah, I've reached out to a few. I'm trying to organize something with Dave Simpson. for most people. Like he's probably the most requested from the fans. So
Is he still doing a lot of Chili Peppers related videos? I don't know.
I'm not sure. He does general stuff, I would say. Like
because he
but
did it in the past. I think he was the most, or maybe still is, the most famous, like John Frusciante
yeah,
fanatic, and he made a lot of like Chili Peppers related videos. But I'm not sure if he still really makes them. I don't know.
like I definitely don't watch his stuff as much as I was maybe 5 years ago or so. I was watching like because he had that whole series like How to Sound Like John Frusciante. That was like a big one. I think he still does stuff from time to time, but yeah, he does seem to be
I don't know.
pretty like highly regarded though among the guitar playing Frusciante community. So, and I like the stuff that he made, like the stuff that I've seen at least, and yeah, I think I'd like to talk to him. I've reached out to a few other people, but I guess I won't say specifically who, because not everyone is willing to have a
You don't want to
conversation.
jinx it.
Yeah, and like some people have said that I don't know, maybe they don't feel comfortable on camera or different things. I was talking to someone who's on the Frusciante team. I think they're located in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, and they said that like their English wouldn't be the best for like they're good at typing but not necessarily speaking, so that would make it difficult.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I had the same like kind of concerns about that because it's not obviously not my number one language, and it's different in my videos. I kind of script things in a way loosely, so I know what I'm gonna say and I can do it over. If my pronunciation isn't 100%, I can redo it a few times. But in a live or like a podcast situation, then you're just stuck with the
I wouldn't
English.
honestly. I speak with like my wife's first language is Japanese, and like as a high school teacher, I taught lots of people who were English language learners, and you don't particularly strike me as someone who doesn't have a good grasp on English. Like, I didn't even think about it really till you mentioned it, that it may not be your first language. So
Yeah, that's a good thing. But for me, like, all the books I read, everything I read is in English. Everything I watch is in English. So, like, understanding English is super easy for me. But, like, trying to communicate is different because I always, like, read stuff, watch stuff, but I'm not speaking to anyone.
Not outputting.
So then sometimes you get stuck, like you want to say something and I know what I want to say in my own language. And I'm like, what is the right way to say it? That's one thing. And pronunciation is another thing that's like, for other people, it's okay. But for yourself, if you listen back and you're like, I know what it's about, supposed to sound like, and it just doesn't come out the right way just because you're not doing it as often as you would like. Yeah,
well, I think other than the word fruition, everything else has been good.
I never said that word. I just know that word from watching other people, and I was like,
it's a good word.
Yeah, gonna practice that word next time. I'm gonna use it a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool word.
But it's okay. It's okay. I think I can. People understand what I'm talking about, so that's the most important thing, I guess. But I can understand why people are hesitant to do a podcast if they feel like the English isn't as good as it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and like even just talking to a stranger, I guess, like for
Yeah,
the first
maybe.
time, like could be. But
I don't
think
really have a problem with that personally, but
yeah, like maybe I don't know. Could be that I was doing it live at the time. I'm not sure. Like I know I'm not always in a talkative mood, so it could like everyone has different comfort zones, I suppose. And if
sure.
I'm just some, if I'm just some unknown person requesting, your presence, who knows, like
That
I'm
will
not
be a
sure,
bit,
like
bit weird, no?
I'm not sure I would want to like say that too. So, I think if I continue to do this and continue to build relationships with other people in the space, and maybe more people will be more willing to do it. That's all I can hope for.
Sure.
And if somebody doesn't want to, that's fine. Like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just doing it because I enjoy like bringing people together, and I want to be friends with people that have the same interests. So
Yeah, me too, for sure.
it's cool. It's cool for me to talk to you. It's cool for me to talk to Justin or talk to Nicola. Like those are the three people I've talked to so far.
Yeah. Same for me. When I was talking to the guys from England, on the universally speaking podcast, I was like, maybe I should go to to England just to hang out.
Yeah,
maybe jam with a few of those guys, and you have
it would be much cooler to do this type of thing in person. Like, I think.
But I think if you like build those kinds of relationships, then it's possible in the future. Who knows, when you're like kind of in the area that you can reach out to people, and that would be so amazing. That would be great. Especially after like talking to someone, like I did the podcast, but those guys, I talked to you. Now, if we would met in person, like in a year, there would already be some kind of familiarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I think it would be great to like meet some people and just hang out, maybe jam a little.
Yeah,
I would love that.
So too.
Yeah. So who knows?
Maybe you spoke it into existence. We'll see.
Yeah.
But like, I think like this is already a lot better than how we were communicating over Instagram Live when we first talked. Just for the sake of the quality and how well I can hear you, and there's not as much of a lag.
I'm way more relaxed now because you're not into the technical stuff as much.
Yeah.
Because before I had this sound stuff, and it was on my phone, and then the light changed, and I was all like washed out, and I was trying to be aware, like be into the conversation, but I was also trying to adjust the light that I wouldn't look so washed out.
It just makes it a little bit more challenging to be completely present. And it's harder to pick up on any cues, and especially when like there's that voice delay.
That's difficult. Yeah,
I would like to continue to do this where my goal for it, like I was saying before when we talked before we started, is that I want it to be as relaxed and as conversational as possible. So I'm glad that I made it like change to
switch.
To switch
I
to
think
this
is a great way.
Yeah. And if there's an opportunity to talk to someone in person, that would be cool too.
Yeah, who knows in the future.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, man. Like,
sure, no problem.
I said, it's been great talking to you.
Likewise.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more videos with the pedals. I'm glad that you like them.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions? What songs I could do with the
chorus pedal?
Actually, the chorus pedal. Yeah. What's it called? The
JF1.
JF1. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't remember. Sorry,
No, that's okay.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
what song I want to play with that pedal. Do you have any requests or recommendations?
Well, something with the chorus or vibrato, I guess. There's not too many songs that use the vibrato, but like I don't
I
even
don't
know why
know.
I said
There
that.
are
That's
quite
kind
a few.
of obviously.
I think people just don't know, but he kind of uses the vibrato setting a lot with like the heavier songs.
Okay.
For
I-
instance,
I've noticed-
Suck My Kiss has the vibrato on all the time. Me and My Friends is one where
Okay.
he uses the vibrato setting. So
Maybe I'll have to
would
try
be a
that
good one.
because I've only really noticed it on like that one B side. I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
But it's got a very distinct like vibrato riff. And then I think he's using it on Tip of My Tongue, like for the intro and the breakdown part,
definitely.
switching between like starting with the vibrato and then switching to the chorus for the verse parts and the rest of the song.
And the Black Summer,
That's my
right?
interpretation anyways. Yeah, Black Summer, yeah.
So he,
I'm not sure,
yeah.
have you done those ones? You've done Black
yeah,
Summer
yeah.
and Tip of My Tongue.
Yeah.
Have you done you could use it on Aquatic Mouth Dance. It would be a good one.
Oh yeah,
Like of the new
That's some-
songs.
chorus and
Yeah.
Handful. That's a lot of chorus. Maybe I
maybe.
use it on that one. Mm-hmm. I'll think of
Uh,
something.
I'm sure there's a few options. So
Yeah, but I also was thinking about like just demonstrating the pedal, just playing all kinds of riffs with the chorus sound, with the vibrato sound, just to show what the pedal sounds like, and do just like a best of C1 sounds kind of video.
Yeah. That would be great because I've been meaning to do that for a long time, but all I've done is
maybe
like a little
I'll just do
comparison
that.
to the original. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but I don't know when because I have so many things I'm working on at the moment. I can tell you that I don't know when is this when are you gonna upload this video? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Maybe next week.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't tell what I'm working on. But I just recreated. Yeah, doesn't matter. I just recreated the synth sound from Warm Tape, from By the Way, because it's a Nord lead, and I also own the Nord lead, and I was just noodling away, and suddenly I got that sound, and I was like, "This is the sound," and now I really want to play that song because I nailed that sound.
You did something similar with the. It's like one of the lines off Blood Sugar. I forget.
If you have to
song.
ask.
Yeah.
I
thought that was really cool. Yeah. It sounded really great.
So now I want to squeeze that video in, the Warm Tape video, because that's where my mind is at the moment.
Right.
There are not a lot of requests for that song, but just because I'm excited about the synth sounds.
Yeah, that's
so I'll
exciting.
probably squeeze that one in. So there are always like enough ideas, but just have to make the time. So I'll definitely do the JF1 chorus video, but I don't know when. But I think I'll just use the pedals on and off.
Yeah, no
for
rush.
certain videos.
It sounds great. I'm excited. I'm happy with what I've seen so far. So
yeah, me too.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it a lot.
Sure.
All right. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks again.
Yep.